Hello, I'm Dwayne Clemens. This is the Ed Block Courage Cast, and we are here today with our special guest, former head coach Ron Rivera. Right now, you're seeing him in the media. He's doing broadcasts. He's on podcasts. He's pretty much everywhere now that he's been taking a break from the coaching on the sidelines. Ron, you're also a former Golden Bear.
Yeah.
I'm an alumni too of Cal, and we both played on the same side of the ball. So I'm so excited to have you here on the Courage Cast today.
Well, I appreciate it, Dwayne. Thank you very much for having me. And I tell you, it's great to talk with a fellow Bear. A lot of crazy things going on in college football, but kind of that's their situation. But as far as the NFL is concerned, this is really cool, Dwayne. Have gotten the opportunity to be part of the Ed Block Courage Award recipients. That's a neat honor.
Absolutely. And here we're here to talk about a very special player, Reeves. This guy has an incredible story. When I see a guy that wasn't drafted high, but, had to go through being cut 3 or 4 times and then all of a sudden ascended to an all-pro player and has made a Pro Bowl and is now is the vested veteran in the league doing his thing and has really made it quite a career for himself. Tell us all about him. Tell him what this award means and why is he getting this award?
Jeremy is a very special and unique individual, and there's a lot of stories like that go through the NFL, and his is very unique just for the whole fact that, as you said, he wasn't drafted. He signed as an undrafted free agent by the Philadelphia Eagles. He gets cut by them. He goes to the Washington Redskins then, and gets cut by them, ends up on the practice squad. I come in as the new head coach, and the same thing. My first year with Jeremy, he almost quite makes the team. But I told him, hey, we'll bring you back. We get the opportunity. We did bring him back. I told him that the opportunity ever happens and somebody gets hurt, I'll elevate you from the practice squad. And we did. And he played. And it happened the next year, the same thing. And I kept telling him, I said, look, you're going to make it because you're working hard. At some point, you'll get that opportunity. I promise you. And well, what happened was a lot of people expected me to bring somebody in I had known. But what I did was, because of one of our safeties got hurt, I elevated Jeremy, and Jeremy came through for us. And from that point on, had become a starter for us and just became a guy that could help us on anything, especially special teams. So then his third year with us, he wins the special teams award for the honor for the Pro Bowl team. And so I brought him in to tell him he had made the Pro Bowl. And what made this really special, though, more so than anything else, was he had just lost his mother, and his mom was his, was his everything in terms of greatest supporter, the person that pushed him, the person that motivated him. And it was a very poignant moment in his career to have succeeded and gone through so much. So then a season ago, he gets a leg injury, injures his knee, has to go through surgery. And knowing him, I knew he would make the comeback, and sure enough, he did. And I'll tell you, the fact that this award is voted on by your teammates and your coaches and trainers speaks very highly of who Jeremy is as a man on the field, and more importantly, as a man off the field doing what he does for the community.
Watching a player go through a season-ending injury is one of the hardest things to endure, especially as a coach, and also as a teammate. You watch guys go through this every year, and then to see him come back. If you're a kid and if you were talking to a kid and you're trying to basically tell him what it takes to be able to make a career in the NFL and to be able to go through all these ups and downs and adversities, using Reeves as a guy, as an example, how would you frame it to show a kid using his career how the fortitude you need to have and the grit you need to have to be able to go through this kind of stuff?
That's a great question, Wayne. And what I would tell him more so than anything else is watch his example. Watch how he carries himself as a man. Watch how he prepares and gets himself ready to do his job. Jeremy is a young man who's very business oriented. Everything he does with a purpose. And so there's a great fun side to who Jeremy is, and there's also a very serious workman-like type of attitude that he carries. Watch him. Here's a young man that's been knocked down on several occasions, but has always risen to the challenge, and he's gotten back up. It goes to that old saying, it's not that you get knocked down, it's more important about you getting up. Well, Jeremy continues to get up when the bell rings. So that's what I would tell him. I would tell him, there's a great example. Just follow his example and you'll have an opportunity to succeed too.
And now I want to follow up. Now you yourself are a recipient of this Courage Award, and it's been well documented on your battles and how much you've had to endure and your own health struggles. And now we're seeing Randy Moss going through his health struggles.
Mhm.
Tell us about taking care of your body and also trying to manage a career that is so stressful and also going through that kind of health crisis all at the same time.
It's crazy because mine came out of nowhere, and my cancer diagnosis hit me just as we were starting training camp in the 2020 season. And it was also the same time the pandemic had just started. So there were a lot of obstacles that we had to work through. But the one thing that I always tell people is you have to be vigilant, you have to be aware of yourself, your own health, and take care of yourself. And that's one of the things that we as people don't tend to do. We get so busy, we get so caught up in what's going on in the world, we forget to take care of us. So every now and then you got to take a step back, take care of you, make sure you're being vigilant, make sure you're seeing your doctor on a regular basis, and do the things that you need to be doing to make sure you stay healthy.
Now, specifically looking at that year and knowing that your life is on the line, how did you make choices to balance out how much time to take for yourself so you could give yourself the proper care versus doing your job and trying to keep a whole organization at the top and at the pinnacle?
Dwayne, it was truly a team effort. I was very fortunate. My two primary caregivers were my wife and daughter. Having them around was tremendous. But one of the things that I took advantage of, and it's one of those things that a lot of folks don't have, and that was I had a team around me, literally. We had a nutritionist on site for the commanders, and I used the nutritionist. We had strength and conditioning guys to make sure I was getting proper exercise at the time. Trainers were paying attention and helping me out get through with my medicine and doing the things that I needed to as far as my treatments. And it's just when you have that type of support system around you, you can get things done. And I was very fortunate to have that.
Wow, that's incredible to hear that. I never knew. Well, I guess I've never heard about an organization since obviously we're used to dealing with football injuries and on the field, like, broken legs and torn ligaments. But to see the training staff have to totally pivot, was that something that was already in their wheelhouse? Or is that something that they had to go and research and get trained on and kind of fast track their
I think was
education
it,
about?
Dwayne, I think it was in their wheelhouse. I really do. Those guys train continuously. It's an amazing thing that when you get a chance to watch the training staff work and do the things that they need to do and learn and take the classes they're supposed to take, those things just seem to fall naturally for those guys and women that do this. So I was very fortunate. I really was.
No, Ron, I'm being a California guy. I'm a Berkeley guy. I grew up in Southern California. People used to always make fun of me because I was really into holistic, non-invasive, drug-free healthcare. I'm a big yoga guy. I was doing like herbs and colonics and doing fast, going off of meat early in my career because I know you probably remember Corey Stringer. He was
Mm-hmm.
one of my teammates, and I remember that being a very defining moment in how I felt about football. And it really changed the dynamics of how I looked at, you know, this is my body. I only got one. This is my life. I only got one. And I love this game and I love what I do for a living. But at the same time, that was kind of that real shock to my system. Like, man, if, this, you know, things can go bad really quickly for you. And, you wake up one day and think you're going out to practice with your boys. And then next thing you know, you're fighting with your life. It totally
Yeah.
created this intense need for me to start to be proactive. And I started seeing a chiropractor and going to an herbalist and doing fascia work and really doubled down on the off the field stuff that I needed to do to take care of my body because I wanted longevity more than anything. How are you creating longevity now at this point in your life?
It's interesting when you bring all those things up because those were things we weren't aware of really back in the mid '80s. But in today's world, we're very fortunate. I'm very fortunate. I have a wife that researches everything, and
Uh,
so she's pretty much gotten us on the type of regimen. She's a Cal girl, so again,
oh,
having gone to the
man.
University of California, she does have a little insight into things like that. And so we have a little bit more of a holistic approach. We're very aware of very aware of what we drink, what we're intaking and putting into our body. Exercise has become a big part of it too, making sure we get some form of exercise daily, doing some extra walking, stretching. We actually went out and got a power plate, which is that high
Okay.
intensity vibration plate that really kind of helps stimulates circulation, the nerve endings in your body, stuff like that. So we've really gotten into it, just trying, like you said, it's all about longevity now, and it's about extending the lifespan. And I do agree. You only got one body, you only got one life. Let's make the most of it.
It was traumatic to me to go through that, but now I'm on the other side of it, and I work with a lot of young athletes. I've got a chance to work with like Brian Breezy since he was in high school. Now he's having great success in New Orleans, and a couple other guys, the Funk Brothers. Um, what do you see the NFL changing as far as, because I remember when I was in the league, people actually made fun of me. And I remember the training staff, they
Mhm.
made fun of me because I was doing these herbs and I was telling guys they should go get colonics. And they really gave me like the business for a couple of years. And now to see this thing turn around as a coach, is there something that you see coming down the pipeline where this becomes mainstream, where non-invasive drug-free healthcare becomes like the primary thing that we do
I think what
versus?
No, yeah, I think you're right, Dwayne. I think what's happened is a lot of guys have started turning to preventive. And a
Mhm.
big part of it is not just, in your diet and your own personal stretching at home, but you see guys coming out earlier and earlier to practice now. You see guys doing those little things, going into the training room, getting into the hot tub, doing the extra stretching. There's that blood testing now that you see, where people are getting their blood tested to see what type of allergies, what are they allergic to, what are their bodies deficient in. It's crazy. Like I found I was deficient in iron, I was deficient in vitamin D at one point, and so I started taking the supplements to help get those things. I found out that I reacted to dairy products. I reacted to eggs, which caused inflammation and swelling in my joints. And as I started cutting back on those things, I began to notice the less swelling, the less aches in my joints. Grounding. I don't know if you do the
Oh yeah,
grounding,
I do
but
PMF.
yes, and my wife and I have learned about that, and we do the grounding now, even when we're sleeping. There are so many ways now for better nutrition, better health, better life, that I think players are starting to become more and more aware of it. Diet is another big thing too, and again, we talked about that. You talked about that, how important it was that you started doing that for longevity.
So being Cal guys, it kind of feels like we might be on the forefront of this a little bit because seems like that California mentality has always been about the health and the wellness, and even if they
Yes, it
thought we were
has.
hippies, we would still knock the snot out your nose,
Yes,
but
we
then we'll help
will.
you up and show you how to fix it. So how much time do we have with you, Ron? Because I do want to get into one other subject if we got enough time.
I got about 5 minutes. My cars should be arriving any minute. I'm going up to San Francisco because I got the 49er game today.
All right, last question. For all the big Ron Rivera fans out there, what is next? We want to know, what is the future of Ron Rivera? Where is he going? What's he doing? What's he planning?
It's interesting, Dwayne, is having the year off. When it first started, it was a different way. I was seeing things differently. One of the things, again, we talked about, Stephanie and I talked about, was making sure the health was in the right spot. And one of the things that we did was we started this workout regimen that we do, and it's been very good. But personally, I got involved doing some broadcasting this year. I spent time in the studio. I spent time on the radio, going to the games and being the color commentator, which was really cool. But it's also given me a different perspective, a different set of eyes from which to watch the game. And so I think if the opportunity comes up to coach, I think I would take it. I really do. I love the game. The game has been very good for me. And I do think, based on what I've seen and how things are going, the things that I've done in the past are the right things to do. So if the opportunity comes, I'm going to take it.
Well, awesome, and congratulations. We want to wish you the best of luck in your endeavors, and I'll definitely be rooting for you to become a coach. And I hope you don't beat up on my Chiefs too bad, whatever team you go to, unless you're gonna take over for Andy. I don't know if you want to maybe put that bug in the Hunt's ear. We'd love to have
Yeah,
you over there on our sideline.
You know he ain't ready. He ain't ready to
Yeah.
go. Coach is doing his thing and he's enjoying it. And I think as long as coach enjoys it, he'll stay.
Oh man. Well, I just want to thank you for being on. I'm Dwayne Clemens. This has been Coach Ron Rivera for the Ed Block Courage Awards, and we want to celebrate Jeffrey Reeves for being our recipient for the Commanders of the Ed Block Courage Award. And we'll be coming to you live again later on tonight.